Hello and welcome back to my RuneQuest Classic Solo Edition campaign, and we are about to begin our adventures. We have completed all our character development. I was tasked with going away and creating character sheets. I have done that. I'm almost 90% there. I have one remaining character to fully flesh out. I decided I was going to use the Mark IV RuneQuest player character sheet. However, when I was actually filling it out and I had a few attempts, I found it just to be a bit too much space on it, and also it's pretty microscopic. Some of the print, and I thought, well, yeah, I could use this, but what I've done, and it's like what I do for a lot of things, I have created my own character sheet, and I call this the Mark One Brian RuneQuest character sheet. And let's just give an example. We've got I can put two characters at once on the sheet. So I have one character here, and one character here. And on this, I have all the information, apart from the nice, it's a bit like the David Lynch Dune power suits that they wear when they're doing combat. I'm missing this, which is a bit of a shame, but potentially I could put that on a different sheet. I do have this summary up here, the armor. The other thing is I don't have too much information about their equipment, but I quite often keep, for any of my other campaigns, I keep their equipment on a separate sheet. So I thought, well, why not? Why not just have this? And at least, I've got, like, here's 4 characters, for example. I've got them all together. And I can quickly refer to them and look at them. And also, for my older eyes, it's kind of zoomed up a bit, so I can actually see what I'm dealing with. So for it's based on this original worksheet where we had our 5 characters. We had Barntar, Orson, Ulvar, Varlorn, and Serana. And what I've done is I've taken 1, 3, 4, and 5 and put them on these, and I'm still to do Orstan. But I do have his raw stats, and I thought it's gonna maybe take a bit longer, but I'd rather just get on and actually get into the actual game. I don't think there's going to be an instance where maybe we're going to have to maybe roll for one of Orstan's key stats, and if we do, I'll just wing it for the time being, and have him primed and ready for the next game. So I've gone away and let's take Ulvar, for example, because he's one of the ones that I've fleshed out in quite a bit of detail. I have gone to the appendix in here, the previous experience appendix, and it has given me some guidelines on what to do with previous skills and spells, and what type of weapons that the character would have. And this is the section on barbarians. So I've just followed the guidelines here, and I've calibrated it based on the fact that he's 20 and he's not served the full 21. So basically I've taken 4/5 or something equivalent to the skill development. And then I've just selected some skills, and I didn't really have to do too many particular roles or interventions. And if I did, well, it doesn't really sort of matter. I've taken, like, for his weapons, I've taken the standard foot barbarian weapons, for example, and then I've got things like he's got other skills, and I've assigned them just based on what I think he should have. And then, likewise with spells, I've just taken what I think he should have. And the end result is that I'm left with Barntar's overall Ulvar's overall character sheet, which has got his key skills here, and you can see that some of them are reasonably impressive. Things like camouflage, it's quite high. Tracking's very good. So I kind of majored on a few of the things that I thought might be quite useful for like an outdoors thing, and kind of reflect his background. But then I've got plenty of room for other things. I've got the personality stuff and the traits and the religious conviction, and a wee bit for previous experience here. So I don't really need to go into too much detail about this. We'll probably be able to see it being used in anger when we actually come to some play sessions. But I just thought it'd be quite a nice way for me just to kind of visualize all my characters at once. I might summarize some of them, some of the key stats, things like hit points, and some of the combat stats, and put them on a separate sheet, a summary sheet, which is suggested quite often in this rule book. It has separate, almost character summaries, so I might just go ahead and use that. Okay, so that was the characters. That was the first thing I had to do, and I'll keep the worksheet because that's got all my scribblings on it, and I've just basically transferred everything from there onto them. And the Mark IV it's a great sheet, but I think it's really more if I was the player and I had a GM, I'd be sitting scribbling away on this and shouting out to my games master, yes, I've got attack such and such with my one-handed sword, and I've got all my details here, all my spells and magic items and whatever. I've got to manage 5 characters, so I need to visualize it. So that was an executive decision. So moving on to the second thing I had to deliver for the closure of the character phase of the deliberations that we were doing in some of the earlier episodes. I wanted to give some character resumes. So I have I've basically gone through the worksheet, taken out some of the key things that we were doing on their traits, their religious conviction, the previous experience, and probably most importantly, the service history, and distilled it all and put it into some neat little paragraphs, which basically sums up each of those individuals. So if we take our first character, who was Barntar, he's 18 years of age. He is a physical young man, though marked by the fall of his noble house to the encroaching empire. His family is divided by the conquest, and he is fearful of retribution. He holds a pragmatic view of the occupation and has been absorbed with disputes with a rival noble and the expulsion of a corrupt official from his household. Deeply religious, he now seeks spiritual solace and power as an aspiring disciple of a new cult, hoping to find guidance in these treacherous times. He is in the Axe and Anvil, and that's our starting inn that I'm going to show you, seeking safe haven and a new purpose away from the direct gaze of imperial power. So that is basically a paragraph that kind of summarizes him, and I can refer back to that as and when. And then we've got Orstan, and I had to be a bit more liberal with this because we hadn't really done too much of his cultural background. He was a bit of the wild card. I wasn't expecting to get what I call an exotic, but I've risen to the challenge, and we now have Orstan. Orstan's a dwarf of merely 18 winters. He possesses a nervous disposition and a profound aversion to the sprawling surface world. He harbours a deep avarice, a common dwarven trait, yet adheres to the traditional orthodoxy of the cult with basic, unthinking faith. Why he left the ancestral stronghold remains a mystery, save for hushed whispers of a failed mining venture, where a vein of rich ore, which Orson zealously claimed as his discovery, was unexpectedly sealed by an ancient, unsettling force, prompting his desperate treasure-hunting foray into the disliked sunlight. So he's got a bit of a backstory, a secret, so he's carrying. And then we move on to Alvar, our barbarian, our forest barbarian. Alvar's a 20-year-old forest barbarian, is a seasoned foot warrior, his proficiency honed by previous tribal service. Though afflicted by a regrettable streak of dishonesty, his courage is unquestioned, often manifesting as a reckless disregard for danger. He has displayed natural leadership, resolved intertribal disputes, and orchestrated an alliance in times of need. Fiercely defending his tribal home against foes and proving his prowess by bringing down a significant kill, he further forged his spirit by passing a wilderness test alone. Relentlessly stalked by a dangerous beast, apathetic towards formal religion, he nonetheless offers lip service when duty demands, his true faith lying in action and survival. So he's a man of action. And then we move on to Varlon, our peasant from the Empire. Varlon, an 18-year-old from the Empire's peasant class, he carries an unwavering optimism despite his humble origins. Rejecting the farm, he found his calling in the militia, where he swiftly distinguished himself by restoring order to a local disturbance. His nascent career further saw him effectively countering a monstrous incursion and defending his community with unexpected zeal. A devout lay worshipper, he frequents the temples, his faith a strong anchor in uncertain times. He seeks to build upon his military experience in this new independent territory. Okay, good for Varlon. Let's move on to Serana. Serana is an 18-year-old nomadic barbarian, has served her tribe faithfully until now. Though notably short, her charismatic presence and natural leadership shine through, evidenced by her stepping forward decisively in moments of crisis. Driven by a curious nature, she displays fierce independence and directness in all her dealings. Her resilience was forged in a harsh wilderness test, where, though lost and alone, she found her way back to her tribe through sheer ingenuity. A zealous lay worshipper, she regularly honours her chosen deities. Right, so that's me done the business on the character resumes. I can file that away with their records. We've got a nice little summary of what they're all about that I can refer to at any time. And now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to the actual play session itself. And in these sessions, we're going to use an interactive design method, which I hinted at in the last episode, to introduce key features of our starting settlement. And we will begin with the tavern where the characters are residing. So that's the Axe and Anvil that was hinted in Barntar's little resume. Just to be aware that to know that the town that we're presenting in question is Dorowaith, and it is the most important city in the Borderlands. It remains a free haven beyond the Empire's direct influence. So that's where we're going to start. We're going to start in this town of Dorowaith. It is probably the major settlement in the Borderlands. The Borderlands, you'll recall, is a region beyond the Empire. It's quite debatable. It's got some barbarians in it, hill barbarians. It's got some nomadic people. It's a kind of crossroads, quite a frontier region, rugged and wild. But thankfully for most of the residents and some of the people that live there, it is beyond the Empire for the time being. Also, for the occasion, and to mark the launch of the campaign, we can have a suitably Conan-style introduction. So I'm going to go all Beowulf by striking an epic tone. And what I've done is, for the occasion, I have drafted in Anglo-Saxon style what I call This is to give it a bit of a, I think I've been watching the introduction to Conan, and it's got that kind of, I think it's worthy of a bit of a dramatic introduction. So if you will just bear with me for a second, I will relate what I call the flight of the raven. A chill March wind, sharp as a whetted blade, whips through the great vale this day. Above, the clouds hang heavy and grey, like a shroud drawn across the heavens, threatening to unleash their wintry grief. A lone raven, a stark silhouette against the muted sky, cuts a path over the rooftops of this last free town of the borderlands. Its guttural call echoes, a sombre note in the frigid air, before it swoops low and comes to rest, not on a rooftop, but on the sturdy sign of the Axe and Anvil. This is no common alehouse. The Axe and Anvil is a renowned wayhouse, its fame stretching across the very borders of the Great Vale. Travellers speak of its strong ale, a brew that warms the bones even on the coldest night, and its good cheer and company, where tales are spun and worries momentarily set aside. Within its welcoming walls, under the brooding presence of the carving that gives it its name, adventurers and locals alike find respite from the world's harsh truth. We peer inside. A skald regales a bardic greeting for all brave companions. The skald's calling. Hearken now, dwellers of the digital realm, seekers of sagas spun and worlds wrought anew. I, your humble skald, stand ready to weave a tale unlike any told before. A saga of RuneQuest, of dice clatter and fate's decree. Lo, I shall guide your gaze to the great vale, a land where green hills roll and rivers run cold, a bulwark against the shadow-haunted east. There stands a town, by no king's writ held, yet fiercely free, perched on the border-grim edge of an empire's hungry grasp, an empire of the moon, red in its rise, its legions ever longing for dominion. Yet a greater dread now stirs, the chaos war, a fell tide of darkness, gnawing at the world's heart, drawing heroes and horrors alike from every shadowed nook. This day we begin our delve, not into deeds fully done, but into deeds yet to be wrought. For this tale is not etched in stone, nor sung from ages past. Nay, we shall forge it together, stroke by stroke, through the eyes of our adventurers, who now stir in the smoke-filled haven of the Axe and Anvil Inn. Mark well, for with each cast of the bone dice, with each whispered word and spoken deed, we shall give sinews and soul to the settlement. Its economy, its resources, the very sinews of its sustenance, its government, the shield against strife, its cults, the heart hopes of its folk, all shall rise from the mists of unknowing. And as we build, so shall the threads of peril and glory reveal themselves, weaving a fate for our champions. So, draw near, my friends, and lend me your ears. Let us embark upon this grand discovery, a saga shaped by your keen eyes and the capricious dance of the word-woven dice. The road is long and dangers lurk, but honour awaits the bold. So, that is the bold introduction to the campaign in heroic style, because I thought, well, that's the type of atmosphere I want to give. It's going to be a grim, kind of heroic, warrior type environment of heroes and bards and skalds and great deeds. And I thought that might be a fitting start for it. And I can relax now and start speaking in my normal voice. Right, okay. I'm going to get my breath back now because I'm not used to bardic poetry. So the game session itself. This is just a quick recap and getting back to English. While playing solo classic RuneQuest, we will be building our world setting live through the eyes of our characters. So this is my interactive idea. We'll be designing the town's economy, government, cults and more, all through the character's experience. So I'll use the characters and I'll be doing little things with them, mini games, interactions, reaction roles, using their skills, using their characteristics, doing all that good stuff. As we flesh out these details, rumours will be seeded along with prominent NPCs and notable settlement features. So as we explore the settlement, as we explore the Adventurers Guild or any of the other civic buildings, as we move around the town, we'll get far more of a picture. We'll start to develop some of the characters there. We'll obviously come across some notable individuals that will be of interest. There'll be rumours, there'll be false information, there'll be conflicting details that we have to sift through. This will all start to come out and manifest itself as we progress through the adventures. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do what I call the backstory. So just to give you a bit of an introduction again, as a quick kind of recap. The characters, our group of 5, find themselves in the Borderlands, brought together in Dorrowayth, the region's major town, and which the residents like to call a city. It is an ancient stone settlement built on the ruins of a long deserted citadel. Why have they come to Dorrowayth, and why do they find themselves in the Axe and Anvil? What I'm saying is that each character has personal motivations, but is there a higher purpose which unifies them into forming a band of adventurers? And I've got my probability roll with 3 different options. Now, I mentioned this way back where I said I'm going to have a high, medium, and low probability for a lot of things that I'm going to be designing. So this is our first encounter with the probability. So I will get the dice tray of the Great Veil. Get it over here. I will get the percentage dice. I was going to say Bane, which is the god I've got in my AD&D campaign, but it's not. So I'll have to come up with some appropriate god or goddess of the. Well, let's not be Selene, the goddess of the Empire. Let's see what we get. So we get. Oh, that's the wrong dice. That'll be an 8. So that I will use the D10 in future, but that's an 88. So that's 61 to 90. The reason why we've all got together: shared adversity forced them together, and the frontier offers a fresh start. Okay. Now we did hint in all their resumes a bit of a backstory. So there must be something that has brought them together. That is a shared adversity. Maybe we could flesh that out as we develop. It could have been, probably the most likely would be the rallying call of the Chaos War has motivated them to seek out adventure and join the struggle. Or as an outsider, they each have had their own personal reasons, but collectively they wish to be beyond the Empire's influence. So I'm saying that there's a shared adversity that's done that, so I'll make a note of that. And then we move on to the Axe and Anvil. And the site in the place, so it's a very sturdy, large tavern. It's outside. It's cold. It's a March day. The prevailing climate in this region is probably not fantastic. It's probably comparable to England. It can get quite miserable. Misty, dark. It's all that kind of Anglo-Saxon kind of feel. The site in the tavern, it's a rough-hewn tables, a roaring hearth, a busy barkeeper, and a few other character types and strangers and residents. So that's what we see, the characters when they're sitting at their table. The sounds that we hear is a clatter of tankards, friendly and interesting conversations. A lute is playing. And the smells, we smell fresh ale, cooking stew, and pipe smoke. So that combination, some people would probably balk at that and say that that's horrible, but most people would probably say, well, that sounds quite. It's very homely. It's very warm. It's cold outside. People that are inside seem to be enjoying themselves. So let's find out a bit more about the Axe and Anvil. And the first thing we're going to do is discover who is the proprietor of the inn we will be dealing with. And I have got 3 different options. I have a chap called Breck Stonehand, who is the most likely, Thorgald Stoutheart, who is the moderate, and Finn Goldcup, who is the outsider. So let's find out who we have as a landlord in the Axe and Anvil. So we have 56. So it's Breck Stonehand. And Breck Stonehand is a stout man in his late 40s. He's sturdy, strong. His face is etched with the lines of hard work. Hard-won wisdom. He's gruff. He's got a no-nonsense expression. He's the fount of local gossip and practical knowledge. He is a good guy to get in the right side with. So we've got Breck Stonehand. It's the Axe and Anvil. It's a nice ambient atmosphere. What do we do next? Have a reaction check to see how the characters hit it off with him. Use the modification table with the friendly column bands. Now, if you look at the reaction table, I've got this summary. It's really designed for outdoor encounters with either monsters or parties. They do have this differentiation of neutral parties, hostile parties, and friendly parties. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to interpret this in terms of a social encounter. And I'm going to use the friendly column with the appropriate results here shown out. And what I'm saying is, have a reaction check to see how the characters hit off. We're using the friendly column bands. If very friendly, that's going to be 15%. So that would be 0, 1 to 15. The creature is extremely friendly to party. He will enter into a conversation and answer some of the party's questions. Or 75, which is okay. He's willing to let the party go on its way. Well, that's if you're doing an outdoor encounter, and they will go on theirs. So I'm saying that's positive. He will point them to who in the crowd may help if he is too busy. And if they really feel that they need to work on the relationship, they can use the oratory skill. And interestingly, some of the characters did pick up some quite good oratory skills in their previous experience. So maybe that will be a factor in the game as we progress. So let's find out what his reaction is to us. So the first reaction roll of the game. We get, right, so that's fantastic. 0.8. He loves us. So he really takes a bit of a shine to the characters. Maybe who would be the best one to do it? Let's have Serana. She's actually got a charisma of 15, and I would say let's do a charisma roll for her, and see if she really nails it with him, and he really takes us under his wing. So yes, she does. So we come across as she comes across as being very charismatic, and he really, as I say, takes a shine with our characters. He says, yeah, if any questions you want, just I'm your man. And he's usually quite gruff, and he's got a bit of a no nonsense kind of demeanor. But actually, he seems to have really quite sort of almost like the ice has melted a bit, and he's really feeling very on it. He is quite positive with us. He really wants to try and make a bit of an effort and make us feel welcome. So we are appreciative in return. So I don't think we need to use our oratory skill. I feel it is. We've already won his favor. And we don't. I had as a fail. If the characters didn't pass, we would have to mingle with the crowd and attend to the relationship with the innkeeper further down the line. Well, that does not necessary. So let's see what the characters can find out the following details about the town. So I think the other option, if they had to mingle with the crowd, they could have spoken to some local craftsmen. So they don't need to do that. They just ask Breck and they say, we're really very interested in the town. And yeah, can you tell us any general things about it that would be of interest to us? And he says, of course I can. Let me roll my percentage dice and tell you what the settlement size and feel is of the town. So we go with that sounds interesting. Breck. So Breck rolls his dice. He gets a 61, which is just on the cusp. A steadfast community. This is a resilient, smaller town with a population closer to 1,800 individuals. Its slightly smaller size indicates a community that has faced more persistent threats, causing some to seek safer havens. Despite its more modest numbers, it maintains its independence through sheer grit and strong communal bonds. So it's kind of, maybe it's a settlement that is kind of hanging on. It's had like the rest of the region, it's suffering from a bit of a shock with this chaos war that's come. The Empire is doing all sorts of stuff as well. The fact that that has caused a lot of disruption, maybe to some of the trade routes and whatever. The local, maybe some of the local barbarians are playing up and causing issues. It is maybe it's a settlement on the defensive, but it has got a bit of a spirit. It's got a communal spirit. So I will take a note of all these things and put them down in my little post-it note summaries. I'll just get it just now. So we're going to have a steadfast community. And also we got Breck Stonehand as our landlord. He's probably the best out of the bunch, because we could have had Finn Goldcup, who is the outsider, and he's a bit more of a chancer. He's a bit more lively. That's probably a nice way of putting it. He's got the twinkle in his eye. He's the quick wit. He likes a story. He likes to drink his produce. And then we've got this chap in the middle, Thorgald Stoutheart. He's the burly man. He's an ex-warrior. He's almost like, he's quite jovial. He's maybe a bit on the simple side. I think Breck is probably going to be the guy, the go-to guy for us. And Serana has done the business. She's built up quite a bit of a rapport, which is nice. So the next stage we do after ascertaining all this information from Breck is that an old storyteller is relating a tale about the history of the town. Make some listening rolls to overhear this, and then move closer to catch what he is saying. All right. So we've all got listening skills. What have we got? Let's get our characters out. So we're not going to include Orlan in, what is his name? Orstan. We won't include Orstan in this. We'll just say it's our human characters that are interacting just now. Maybe Orstan has just decided that. Let's say that Orstan hasn't quite joined us yet. He's making his way to. We know him from previous experience, but he's making his way to the Axe and Anvil. He's not quite there yet. So we'll just use our human characters. So let's see what we've got listening wise. We've got Varlon, who doesn't really have we've got a base listen. This is the bit where I should really done all the updates. So our base listen is 25. So he's 30. So let's see if Varlon listens, can hear over here what's going on. 28. Yes, he does. So Varlon says, hey, I can hear this storyteller. He's going on about the history of the settlement, Dorwaith. I think we should go over and see what he's all about. The characters do, as a group, move closer to hear what he's got to say. So we can reveal the base story to the characters. So we find out that this guy is, they spot an old fellow. Oh, I think I've got it the wrong way around. Yes. Yeah, it's a storyteller. So yeah. So yeah, there's a storyteller, and he gives out what I call the base story, and this is the first bit of the conundrum that I can reveal. The town stands upon the remains of a far older settlement, perhaps a minor city from the forgotten age of the Great Vale. For centuries, it has been a desolate ruin, gradually resettled by hardy folk who discovered its strategic location. Its current inhabitants are the descendants of these resettlers, and while they maintain their independence, there's a strong undercurrent of mystery and forgotten lore in their history. So that's what the storyteller is going on about. The characters are asking questions afterwards and to see if they can find out any more information as well about the background of the place. So it says perform an intelligence characteristic roll for the character with the highest intelligence to spot a likely patron to ask for more information. So let's see who our character is that we've got the highest intelligence. So Serana's 13, Varlorn's 13, Barntar is 10. Oh look, Ovar is 14. So let's roll a D. See if we can roll D20 and see whether he spots. Yeah, he does. So he spots an old fellow with a flowing robe who's quietly smoking a pipe in the corner. So what we decide to do, what Ovar decides to do, is he say, "Hey, I've twigged that there's a chap over there in the corner. He looks as though he's pretty sharp. I think I'm going to go over and have a bit of a chat with him and see if he knows a bit more about what this settlement's all about." We've already had a bit of the bare bones from this old storyteller, but let's see if there's anything more that we can find out of interest. I'm just an absolute pushover for some old guy with the flowing robes. He's smoking his pipe. So Ovar goes over and he says, "Good evening, fine sir. I couldn't help but notice that you're sitting there comfortably in the corner. You look like a learned chap. Would you know any more about what the storyteller has been telling us about the town? We're very interested in finding out exactly what's going on here. We're just new to the place, and we'd really like to find out whether there's any potential work for us to do. We're into a mercenary business or something thereabouts." And he says, "Oh, right, okay. Well, my name is Berestar. I'm Berestar the Learned. I'm a sage and a member of the guild here. Let's see how he reacts to Ulvar. So we'll do a reaction roll. And again, we'll just use that criteria of the friendly column. So he doesn't really. That's not a very good reaction roll. So that's not very good at all. So he's probably going to say, no, we're not interested. So that's a 98. Encountered creatures cannot conceal their contempt rate. So I think the reason that Berestar thinks, all right, he's one of these barbarians, and he's just come over here and he's destroyed my peace and quiet. I was in quiet contemplation, thinking about some project that I'm involved in. He was doing his kind of mind games in his head. And then this great big ugly brute of a barbarian comes across and disturbs him. So he says, look, I'm sorry, I was deep in thought. I'm just not interested in talking just now. I've really come in here just for a quiet drink and a bit of peace. So that's put a bit of a stop to that. So I think that's probably the end of our process. I'm going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a line in the sand there just now and just say to be continued. But this should give you a flavour of maybe just how I want to try and play it going forward. It's not going to be quite as programmed as this going forward. It is going to be a bit more freeform. But this was really just to kind of shape the initial scenarios, the initial encounters, and go through a logical process where we would gather more and more information about the environment that we're in, and see whether there was any threads or maybe adventure points that we could pick up and deal with, and also any interesting NPCs. So we've already established that there's an innkeeper that we have a relationship with. However, we've fallen at one of the first hurdles, which was to try and make a bit of a friend of this sage, who could maybe give us a bit more information about the town. So let's cut our losses just now. Ulvar just returns back to his group. We could maybe try a different approach. Maybe we could send Serana, who's got far more tact and charm, and she might be able to get round this chap, this Berestar, who maybe sounds a bit. Maybe his bark is worse than his bite. That could be the case. Okay, well, I quite enjoyed going through that. I knew I'd do my epic poetry and all whatever, but just for dramatic effect, I thought that was a good way to maybe launch the campaign. As I say, it's not going to be quite as programmed as this going forward, because we're not doing like a solo quest or anything like that. We're trying to play a role-playing game. But I think the idea I have is that I quite like to have some interaction through the characters, and I'm not just simply sitting there designing stuff and then having the characters come and visit. They're kind of part of the process. It's a living process. It's designing and characters are interacting at the same time. Well, that is the theory. Okay, well, thanks very much for watching this episode, and I hope to see you next time.